Welcome to the June the 20th, 2022 meeting of the Gaston County Board of Education. I'm Jeff Ramsey, member at large and chairman of the board. At this time, I'd like to ask our other members to introduce themselves. Mr. Dedman.
Lee Dedman, Gastonia Township.
Justin Davis, South Point Township.
Steve All, Dallas Township.
Robbie Lovelace, Cherryville Township.
Dot Guthrie, Gastonia Township.
Dot Cherry, at-large member.
Kevin Collier, Riverbend Township.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, we'd like to welcome everyone at this meeting this afternoon. I hope everyone is enjoying the different pace of this summer schedule. I know there are exciting things still taking place in our schools, and you'll hear about this afternoon. First order of business to have our prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to ask Dr. Booker to lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Thank you. Members of the board, since you last met on May 24th, there was another tragedy, this time in Uvalde, Texas. It's been documented about the 19 children and 2 adults that lost their lives and the other injured parties, and there'll be much about that. But that marked the 27th shooting at a school this year. And so I think as we go to the Lord in prayer, I would like to pause in remembrance, but also in appreciation for the protection that we have enjoyed here, because it's only by God's grace we haven't had to have a similar conversation, and through the diligent efforts of a lot of people. So let's just, please just join in a moment of silence. Father God, we sometimes are just at a loss for what goes on around us, and we just have to trust. Trust in you and trust in your power and your oversight. We just ask for your strength and your wisdom in all that we do. We ask that as we're meeting this summer, we have students, almost 3,000 children still in our schools every day, that you'll give people the perceptions and insights to keep our students safe. We ask that you be with our teachers and comfort them and know that they can provide education in a safe environment. But Lord, all this we just give to you, knowing that you are in control, and we ask you to help us move through these times and to rise above all this, to still have a great, positive environment for students to learn. We ask that you continue to bless us with protection and guidance for those who help us. Honestly, Lord, I'm just at a loss. I just ask for your encouragement and for your gifts. We just thank you that you are the one in charge. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Booker. Our next order of business is adopted agenda. I need to add an item to the consent agenda for approval. A motion to approve the agenda as amended. Mr. Collier.
Just want to clarify, Mr. Chair, it is going in the consent agenda, the NCDOT right-of-way for land purchase on Highway 274, and the county commissioners have already approved this. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay. Second by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Next order of business to hear good news happening in our schools. Dr. Booker, share some good news with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'd like to invite Ben Kimmel to come forward. Is Ben with us? Thank you. Ben is from Hunter Huss High School, and you all may not know this, but the North Carolina High School Athletic Association has a student athlete advisory council that's made up of 16 students from across the state. And Ben has been chosen to represent Region 6, which we're a part of, on the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Student Advisory Council. Ben is an outstanding athlete at Hunter Husp, competing in swimming. This past spring, he was in the regionals as well as qualifying for state swimming championships. But he also does a number of other things to contribute to the Husp community, and we wanted to congratulate Ben on his selection for this advisory council. Ms. Cherry?
Ben, on behalf of the board, I want to present you with a certificate. We know that you're going to represent District 6 very well, and we really know that you're going to push Q aside and say, I'm running this show, okay? So, I know Chad's going to enjoy working with you. I've known Ben since before he was born. Not only is he a good athlete, but he's a stellar student. So he's going to bring a lot to the table when he goes up to those meetings, and we can't wait to hear all the good things that you're going to bring back to Gaston County and for District 6. Mom and Dad are here. He is also a very good baseball player. Very good baseball player, and if y'all seen the article in the Gazette, he wore the same breeches all season for a good luck charm. So you can wear those up there too, okay? So that they'll really know who you are. But Mom and Dad are here. Principal is here, Brian Denton, and then also Chad. I know y'all want to come get into some pictures, so come on. So, very proud. Is your brother and sister here yet? Baseball. No, they're playing baseball and other things. Oh. Oh, Sean, you take. Come on. Y'all want to get one to get by yourself first? Yes? No, that's what he wants to do. He's smiling. He's smiling.
And one more.
If you want to get one by yourself with just them?
I'll get one Ben by himself too.
Shake it by his hand.
All right, let me get one Ben by himself. There you go. All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ben.
Next, I would like to ask Chad Duncan, the Athletic Director for Gaston County Schools, to come forward. As he walks forward, I would like to let you know that we need to congratulate Mr. Duncan. He received the Award of Merit from the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, where they select this from each state based on their outstanding leadership and commitment to interscholastic sports. But why we have him in front of us tonight is because he has been chosen to serve as the president of the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association. So Mr. Duncan has worked tirelessly on behalf of the athletes of Gaston County, but has been very active in the state in a number of positions, and this just recognizes all that he has done to advocate for student athletes, coaches, and other folks related to athletics. So, Chad, we're excited for this recognition and look forward to the next year in your leadership. Mr. Cobb.
Mr. Duncan, I have a certificate of recognition from the NIAAA State Award of Merit, and you've made Gaston County Schools and this Board of Education proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Send you guys up. All right. All right, thank you. Thank you, Chad.
Sure, sure.
Congratulations, buddy.
This next recognition is something that really we've held until we could get a lot of people here to acknowledge, and we wanted them to be physically present because of the outstanding work they did. This past fall, as part of the United Way campaign, your school district was a significant contributor to the overall campaign and led that. And I want to thank Valerie Yatko for the leadership she provided in coordinating that with United Way. Our target, we had historically been in the $90,000 to $100,000 range, but this year, through the schools and all the work that they've done, they raised $104,418.81. So we're going to ask folks to come forward for recognition, and we do have a couple significant ones. Southwest Middle School, Hunter Huss High School, and Forest View High School all contributed more than $5,000 each towards the campaign. So wanted to. And their school coordinators, I hope, are here tonight. I see Gary Koch from Southwest Middle School. Gary, if you could come on up. Gary serves as the assistant principal at Southwest, and this was a great leadership opportunity for him.
Congratulations. Thank you for all your hard work.
I want just Southwest by itself. There you go.
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you for your commitment. Appreciate it.
Next, I'd ask Brian Denton and Assistant Principal William Winston come forward, please, representing Hunter Huss High School.
On behalf of the school board, we're proud, especially in the circumstances we've been going through COVID, to be able to get this award. Congratulations.
Mr. Winston, let's put you on the X, please. Mr. Dent. All right, let's get Hunter Huss together. There you go, perfect. And one more. All right.
Shake everybody's hand.
The board wants to shake your hand.
Yes, we do.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you. Thank you.
Now representing Forest View High School, James Hilburn.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Great job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the support. That's really huge.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, it's that. Yeah. And one more. I'll get Forest View by itself. Okay. You can tuck in your key there. Or, yeah, perfect. You good? I know. And one more. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job. Congratulations. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
So those were the top three, but rounding out our top 10, next I'd ask from Cramerton Middle School, Assistant Principal Beth Crosby and Principal Kevin Dorn.
Thank you.
Good job. Keep up the good work. Yeah, you're in the middle.
She did the work. I can go take off your, I can hold that.
You'll probably sleep in it sometime.
Do that last one. All right, get the Cramerton together. All right. 1, 2, and one more. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you, sir. Next, from New Hope Elementary, Lynn Whitesides, Principal.
Congratulations. I saw you in the paper today.
Your hair looks better.
We had a banana split, and she was it.
Just have much going toward this way, Mr. Rams.
15 to something.
Just have New Hope by itself. Take 3 photos.
First picture.
1, 2, and one more.
They're going to be meteorites hitting the earth.
At least she washed her hair before she had it.
Leave it to a white size. Good.
Good job.
Thank you.
From Chapel Grove Elementary, Principal Mitch Allen.
All right, you're after that.
Just a little bit more to the right. 1, 2. All right, have Chapel Grove by itself. There we go. And one more. All right, thanks.
And Assistant Principal Dion Kennedy from H.H. Beam Elementary School.
Congratulations. Thank y'all for all that hard work. About right there we go. We're doing
1, 2, one more. All right, and Candy by itself. All right, thank you.
I have to go with my glasses off.
If you want to, I can do it. You want to?
That's right. Good job.
Congratulations.
Next, Dr. Amy Holbrook, representing Greer Middle School.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Holbrook.
Appreciate it.
You got your Holbrook colors on.
I do. We're on school. That's right. Not very.
And one more. Dr. Holbrook by herself. There
Oh,
we go.
Lord.
There you go. That's a good smile. There we go.
You got to get me laughing, right?
Okay.
Thanks.
you, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for all y'all do for us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, y'all do it.
Next, from Bessemer City High School, Principal Dr. Sheila Wyant.
One, two, and one more. Okay. Dr. White by himself. One, two, and one more. All right, thank you.
From Lowell Elementary, Pear Suttonfield. And she wanted to also recognize that Emily Morton helped on the campaign a lot as well, so thank you for your service.
One, two, three. All right. One, two, one more. All right.
So we recognize these tonight. I wanted to also acknowledge that 35 of our schools had an increase in their previous giving. In addition to the schools, the support services areas raised more than $15,000 towards the campaign. So I want to recognize any of these folks if they happen to be with us tonight. From the Academic Services Department, Robin Boyce. From the Finance Department, Kenneth Smith. From Technology Support Services, Angela McCoy. Also Kyle Bell. Kyle's here tonight. Dr. Bennett, you just got volunteered to come up and represent Academic Services. And Ms. Powers, could you come forward and represent accountability and communications?
That's right. We should hide it, yeah. Just slide everybody just a step over that way. Perfect. Okay. Take 3 photos. 1, 2. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Ophelia. Thank you. Good job. Thank you, sir.
The team thing.
Well, I do both.
Good job.
And now the person who does not want any attention, but we're going to make her come forward anyway. Valerie Yatko. So you're on the spot, Valerie. Chairman's coming down to thank you. You do a number of different things in the district, and we appreciate, I just couldn't allow you to be here and not give you acknowledgement for all that you do.
On behalf of the board, we appreciate all the hard work you've done behind the scene to make us look good, make All these people that show up to work. Thank you. Well, we're gonna get a picture.
Valerie, Sean asked for that, not me, okay? I knew you didn't want the picture. That's Sean.
There you go. All right. One, two, one more. All right.
So we've recognized these individuals for their leadership, but I want to thank each person who contributed to the United Way campaign this year, because every dollar does count, and I know for a lot of people, their contribution to United Way is because they've been touched by a United Way agency at some point in their lives. And I'm sure that the $104,000 makes a difference in what goes on in our community. So we thank you for all that you have done, and appreciate you being here tonight. The last item...
Wait, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say to everyone while you're in the room, we greatly appreciate what you have done in addition to doing the daily routine at school at a very challenging time. This great report does show that in addition to everything else that you were responsible for this past school year, we were allowed to raise that much money for others because we care. And we want to let you know this evening that we care for you, and for every hand that I had the honor to shake this evening. Thank you. Thank you for what you have done. You probably feel a bit more relaxed this evening. We want you to enjoy your summer. Thank you so much. Everything that you've done was greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
And so one other item, we didn't bring folks in, but if you had been here last week, graduation is a great culmination, but part of graduation is watching students accomplish things. And we were able to conduct our first career signing day since 2019 right here in this room. And we want to thank Dixon Valve, GSM Services, and Jaffe Contracting, because we were able to recognize students that they have hired, and these 6 students were participating in our signage. And so it was a neat event, and we were able to record it, and in a couple of weeks we'll have on Channel 21 a program where you can watch all of that. But I thought it was great news to be a part of our good news tonight. And that concludes for this evening, sir.
And I have one more good news. I had the opportunity to meet with our Commissioner School students today, the Mover and Shakers. We want to thank Gaston County Commissioners for funding this. It's a wonderful event that happens for 2 weeks. And it was really encouraging and inspiring to see the next generation coming up. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you. The next item on the agenda allowed the opportunity for public expression. This is a time when the board will hear the comments from citizens about the matters of public concern related to the school system. Our board policy sets aside the first 30 minutes of the regular monthly meeting for citizens to address the board. Before we hear from the public, let me outline the rules of procedure. Citizens wishing to make comments and have completed a request to speak form prior to the beginning of the meeting will recognize by the chair and then request to step up to the microphone to make their comments. Citizens will state their name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Members of the board do not respond to public expressions during the public comment period. Public expressions do not allow for comments or on confidential or personal matters. Speakers who wish to give materials to the board will hand it to our board clerk. The chair shall rule at all points of order during public expression. Our first public speaker is Richard Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, School Board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Richard Boyce, Story Drive, Belmont. Friends, y'all been listening. Gaston County has been much in the news here lately. Some very positive. For instance, the nomination of our superintendent, Mr. Booker, as State Superintendent of the Year. Congratulations to you, Jeff, and thank you for your opening prayer. Some items not as positive. Uptick in COVID, shootings at our mall, removal of photos from the county museum, and most recently I woke up to hear of a resolution from the Belmont City Council on their consent agenda regarding the logo at South Point High. I want to ask you, what kind of county do we want to be, my friends? A county where the majority does what it wants without worrying over the consequences? Or a county where everyone's voice counts, especially those in the minority and those easily forgotten like our indigenous living neighbors? A county that celebrates doing difficult things on the athletic fields, which South Point High School, I'd point out, regularly does, but fails to celebrate doing difficult things at board meetings, in the classroom, and here as a county discussing difficult topics together. A county that discusses and deals with difficult topics on its own, or a county that is forced to deal with difficult topics by outside bodies and organizations that force it to make decisions we should make ourselves. For almost 2 years, a group has been coming here regularly simply trying to engage in conversation with you. Yes, it is a group that one of my daughters started. A daughter, I might point out, that has been a teacher and a principal and currently is a full-time advocate for public education in the state of Pennsylvania. But you've also heard from other voices, particularly local, I count local indigenous voices, as well as brave and courageous current and past students of Gaston County, some of whom will be here tonight. This group has offered compromises on this topic. Raiders without the logo, Red Hawks, which many of the indigenous tribes would support, but no discussion or conversation has taken place yet. All we can do is come and make public comment and hear of resolutions and votes by majorities without discussion. I would urge y'all, as leaders of the Board of Education, to step up the plate and engage in conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Ryan Sims. Okay. Lena Ware. Lena, excuse me.
Hello, my name is Lena Ware and my address is on the form. I've been going to these school board meetings on and off for over a year. And each year, the number of Native American mascots continues to dwindle. Except for South Point's mascot has not changed. We haven't even discussed changing it. You are not stopping the mascot from changing, only delaying it. I only want what is best for the county and what is best for South Point. And I know that the more we put off changing South Point's mascot, the more future generations will look back and wonder why it took so long for the racist mascot known as the Red Raider to change. I know your official statement has said that South Point must make the decision to change their mascot, but South Point tells students that it is up to the school board to make that decision. You continue to push off this topic instead of welcoming a discussion which would change how South Point is viewed for the better. Thank you for your time and hopefully for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Ware. Lauren Frady. Becky Gaither.
Hello, my name is Becky Rice Gaither, and my address is on the form. I'm a proud Native American from the Cowichan tribe. I'm also a parent whose children attend Gaston County schools. As a Belmont resident, my oldest child attended South Point High School, and my younger son is expected to do so in 3 short years. I have entrusted this Board of Education to ensure that my children have a safe place for them to learn. You set the standard for each school to enact your priorities and directives. Should I remind you that your mission statement is to provide innovative, educational, safe place for all students in a nurturing learning environment. This would include Native American students. This Red Raider mascot is in direct contradiction to your mission statement and your priorities. This mascot, or this daily image for each South Point student, impounds false propaganda of Native people. It encourages students to mock Natives by using Raider chants and tomahawk chops at sporting events. Ignorant grown adults and students participate in these stereotypical activities. I felt discriminated, and my child also felt this same pain during several of these events. Do you call this safe and nurturing? The question remains of what you are nurturing. You can nurture compassion rather than hatred or even ignorance. Today, this school's mascot is attempting to erase the beauty of my rich culture and deduce it down to what a white man's view of the Indian is, or better yet, to create a stereotype that will live in the minds of all students. We can thank you for racially insensitive coworkers or future politicians from the graduates at Gaston County schools. My child is not safe and is not provided a nurturing environment when such a racist image is displayed so proudly in Belmont. I fear that my younger son attempting to go to a school will not feel safe. The principal has allowed this racist image to remain, giving permission for students to be racially insensitive. We are not honored by this mascot. We are ridiculed. We are wrongly characterized. This mascot is harmful and purposefully mocks us Natives. It is a reminder that we are oppressed and we have no voice. The fact that I spoke 6 months ago and not one vote has been held here at this board shows that we are still oppressed people. You have remained silent, the principal, the superintendent, this board, and yet you let a booster club and city mayor speak on your behalf. Shame on you. Your silence and non-action is approval of such discrimination. If you want to honor us as Natives, then remove the mascot and educate our children to have racial sensitivity for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaither. Jasmine Clarkson.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Clarkson. My name is on the form. Tradition can be a beneficial thing. Indeed, it establishes order, it simplifies expectations, and it elicits feelings of comfort. However, there are times when tradition and all of its repercussions can be weaponized to produce harm. As a government facility, the Gaston County School Board must be hypervigilant in identifying and minimizing harm. Rather than relying on what is customary, we should recognize when something distracts from the cultivation of students' education. The mascot of South Point High School, depicting an Indigenous person, is not historically authentic. The mascot is the Red Raider, implying that Indigenous people raided land that they held original claims to. This mascot perpetuates a long-held myth about Native tribes. The defense of their rightful land was violent, cruel, and unjustified. In actuality, it was the European settlers that raided North America, and flipping this term to use against Native tribes is dishonest. Furthermore, using red to describe Native peoples negatively connotes a racial slur. There is a long-held stereotype that the skin of an Indigenous person is red. It is not grounded in reality and instead aims to caricaturize a wide demographic of people. The face of the mascot itself is colored red. Its intentions are explicitly communicated. The mascot does not care about historical accuracy or honest representation. Instead, it relies on former stereotypes to vaguely strike a chord in Belmont residents of power or strength. Supporters of the mascot argue that it has always been this way and it would be erasure to change the mascot now. However, before 1969, South Point's mascot was a cardinal. It has not always been the Red Raider, and it would not be difficult to change the mascot now. Unfortunately, in this case, it seems the appeal of tradition is a fallacy and has been weaponized to maintain a racial caricature. The onus to change the mascot has been placed on South Point's principal, who has offered stoic silence in response to this controversy. His heels have dug in. He is not going to change without sufficient outside pressure. Members of the school board, you have a choice here. Regardless of who has official clearance to change the mascot, you hold responsibility in the form of your power. You can facilitate this change, or you can turn away from your citizens. I implore you to listen to the people who came here first. Thank you.
Thank you. Ava Clarkson.
Hi, my name is Ava Clarkson, and my address is on the form. Recently, the Belmont City Council voted 4-0 in support of South Point High School's Red Raider mascot, denying the claims from Indigenous people. They asserted that it positively reflected our city because it depicted the contributions of Indigenous people. They said that this mascot exists while showing sensitivity to Native American history and culture. If this mascot showed sensitivity toward Indigenous culture and history, why would it be so inaccurate? The Red Raider depiction of Native Americans is not at all a representation of local Indigenous tribes. Also, if the mascot was historically accurate, why would the mascot use racist language such as red and raider to describe a colonized, racially marginalized group? Historically, when have Native Americans raided land? It makes no sense. This mascot is a blight on Belmont's history, and it should be changed. This mascot is not supported by local Indigenous tribes. Although the Native American Guardians Association has shown its support, this foundation demonstrates a clear bias. Even disregarding the claims that it is financially supported by NFL teams, this foundation has approved every Indigenous sports mascot it has processed. If we want to listen to Native voices without bias, we should pay attention to statistics and the voices of local Indigenous tribal leaders. In fact, over 1,500 Native organizations have spoken out against Native mascots. More than enough Indigenous tribal leaders have come to these board meetings to express their discomfort with the mascot. For 2 years, Indigenous students and alumni have showed up to these meetings asking for this matter to be dealt with sensitively and with respect toward Native culture and history, yet nothing has been done. The board has stayed silent. How does your silence indicate respect towards Native culture? Nothing about the Red Raider mascot is sensitive. Nothing about it is respectful. It is incredibly dehumanizing to have an entire race of people be depicted as a mascot. Most mascots we see today represent cute animals, not human beings. A mascot should not be controversial. A mascot should, without hesitance, represent the entirety of a school. How is the Red Raider mascot representing the entirety of a school when South Point High School students claim to feel ashamed of their own mascot? Mascots should not have to be shameful. Mascots should not have to divide a community. There is a simple fix to this divide. There's a simple fix to this discomfort. Retire the Red Raider. Prove that Belmont does, in fact, treat Native culture and history with respect and sensitivity. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name?
You called me earlier, and I was just pulling into the parking lot. I got stuck in some traffic.
Lauren Frady? Okay, come on up.
The normalization of racism is insidious, and you have given it your approval with your silence. You have chosen power over justice. You have chosen to work against the interests of education, which is what we all care about more than anything, by the way. All we want is for students to get the quality of education they are owed. One that is as untainted by the stain of racism as we can possibly achieve. It doesn't end with the logo. There is so much that was designed to hurt BIPOC students in your schools. And as long as you are working to keep things as they are, you are working against education, not for it. Education
So if you can.
Well, I don't appreciate your lack of communication with us. We just want to have a discussion about this mascot, and we've gotten nothing from y'all. Where has this conversation been for 2 years, sir?
Go ahead.
If you wanted to be educators, you would be fighting for your students' right to the truth. You would be taking the heat with us. It does not have to be this way. We could work together to build incredible connections between Gaston County schools and the local tribal community. We could have native-led, we could have native-led curriculums that teach true history and current events so that students can step out of ignorance and into the light of knowledge. We could have that together. This is about so much more than a mascot. Our advocacy for Native students has never been limited to the mascot, and it never will be. But we can't even begin to talk about any of that, building anything better, until this symbol of genocide and hate and racism is taken down and relegated to its proper place among all the ugly parts of this town's history that must never be forgotten, but should never again be honored. And rest assured, when my words today, as I know they will, crash up against the wall of your ambivalence, I will be back. And if not me, it'll be someone else. Because we're not going to stop until this is changed. Because this town's children deserve better than miseducation.
Next item on the agenda is approval and correction of minutes. This is an action item. This is for May the 23rd regular meeting. Do I have a motion? All right. Mr. Dedman, second by Mr. Hall. All in favor? That's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is a report on the Operation Committee. The Operation Committee Chairman is Lee Dedman. The other members are Dot Cherry, Kevin Collier, and Brent Moore. Mr. Dedman, who's? Ms. Cherry. All right. Thank you.
The Operations Committee met on Monday, June 6th at 4 o'clock here in the boardroom. Our agenda and discussion included the following. Morgan Houchard, Executive Director, gave us an update on all the auxiliary services departments, which included safety and security, school nutrition, transportation, and facilities. We also received an update on scheduled summer projects. Dr. Houchard also shared with us that both the in-person and virtual job fairs were very well attended. HR staff continues to work with and support principals through the hiring process. The department is now fully staffed with a new Executive Director of Human Resources to begin work on June 30th. To date, there are roughly 125 retirees. Associate Superintendent Gary Hoskins informed us that HR and Finance departments are working on adjustments to the classified employee salary schedule, as well as COVID retention bonuses, which will be paid to qualified employees next month. He also informed us that the out-of-county tuition rate is $1,700, which is set by the state. The interim budget will be presented tonight and must be approved prior to July 1, 2022. We received an update on the school business modernization project, which the Finance Department continues to work on with and for all employees. The committee reviewed the new and amended contracts for LED lighting at Cherryville High School, paving at New Hope Elementary and Holbrook, and adjusted contracts for paving projects at Hunter House High School, Gardner Park Elementary, and Catawba Heights. The Operations Committee recommended these for approval, and they will appear on the consent agenda tonight. Our next committee meeting is Monday, August the 1st at 4 p.m. here in the boardroom. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Cherry. A report from Curriculum and Instruction Committee. Ms. Dot Guthrie is our chair of that committee. The other members of that committee are Justin Davis, Steve Hall, and Robbie Lovelace. Ms. Guthrie.
Mr. Chair, Mrs. Lovelace will give our
All
report.
right, thank you.
The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met June 6, 2022. Members present were Dot Guthrie, Justin Davis, Steve Hall, Robbie Lovelace, Jeff Ramsey, and Dot Cherry. The meeting was called to order at 12:02 p.m. Mr. Hoskins gave a budget update on COVID-19 retention bonuses, salary increases, and the interim budget. This item will be on the June 20th, 2022 board agenda. Mr. Brett Buchanan presented information on career and technical education internships and youth apprenticeship. Advertising for the CTE internships and youth apprenticeship is done in a variety of ways. Videos embedded in interest surveys, digital and paper flyers, CTE support staff, and Gaston College career coaches. Dr. Melissa Bachnight presented information on school-based mental health services. It is time to complete a request for proposal for mental health services, and we are requesting one agency support all of our schools. Dr. Chris Bennett presented information on middle school math support. We are offering summer math training for teachers using Curriculum Associate Ready Math. Mr. Chad Duncan presented information on the Caramont Athletic Trainer contract. This item will be on the June 20th, 2022 board consent agenda. Dr. Melissa Bachnight presented information on Cropper GIS consulting contract. This item will also be on the June 20th, 2022 board consent agenda. Dr. Melissa Bachnight presented information on Successful Practices Network contract. This item will also be on June 20th, 2022 board consent agenda. There will not be a curriculum and instruction meeting in July. The next committee meeting is scheduled for August 1st at 12 noon. Superintendent Booker thanked everyone for their support this past week with graduation. The meeting adjourned at 1:28 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Lovelace, and thank you for both committees working on behalf of our students, staff, and parents. The next item on the agenda is to announce the appointment of the newest member of the Gaston College Board of Trustees. Each year, the Board of Education is charged by statute to select an individual to serve a 4-year term on Gaston College Board of Trustees. Earlier this afternoon, we had a special call meeting and individually considered the people that interviewed for the board. Dr. Gore was selected to serve the 2022-2026 term. This board appreciates those who interviewed and thank them for willing to serve. We congratulate Dr. Gore on this appointment. Next item on the agenda is interim budget, and that's Gary Hoskins. And this is an action item.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Vice Chair Cherry, members of the board, Superintendent Booker. I'm here to present the interim budget for 2022-2023 for your approval. Also, as a part of that, we want to talk about salary increases, both historical, current salary increases, and potential salary increases for the coming year pending the state budget approval. Looking back over the last 5 years at what the state has authorized in salary increases for our classified employees. Those are our hourly employees. You can see 2016-17, the state had a 1.5% increase. The next year they had a $1,000 recurring increase for all employees, and that comes out to about 48 cents an hour for those hourly employees. Then in 2018-19, we had a 2% increase, and after that, we did not have a state budget, so it was a 0% in 2019-20, 2020-21, and then we were waiting this time last year for the approval of a budget for the current fiscal year. So this board, back in June of last year, without having any state budget, decided to go ahead and give our classified employees a 3% increase. So just looking at what that means to a sample employee, this is a a custodian, and you can see back in 2016-17, that custodian would start out at an hourly salary of $11.12. Keep in mind, minimum wage is $7.25. After the $1,000 increase, they would go to $11.60. Then we'd have a 2% increase that bumps them to $11.83, where they would stay over the next 2 years because there was no increase after that. And then when this board did their 3% increase, it took them to $12.19. So part of the 3% increase that this board approved, we also added experience steps for our custodians and our teacher assistants. And these are experience steps for experience earned while you're working at Gaston County Schools. We've always paid for experience for people when we hire them, but at the point that we hire them, we did not continue to pay for that experience. So we did add experience steps for those two groups. We also made market rate adjustments for some other hourly positions, and the estimated cost of this was about $1.3 million. So as we look at that $1.3 million and look at where it comes from, you can see that the majority of the cost of this $1.3 million comes from state funds, $455,000, and federal funds, $458,000. So the local contribution to this program was about $275,000. So as I mentioned, we created steps for our custodian. So if a custodian started at $11.83, the increase that this board approved took them to $12.37. But we put in those experience steps, so that goes from $12.37 to $12.92, depending on where they fall between a first-year custodian with no experience and 8 years or more of experience. So that's about a 50-cent per step increase for custodians. So after the board did that in June of last year, the General Assembly came out with their budget for the current year, 2021-2022, and that was adopted in November of 2021, and they said hourly employees should have the greater of $13 an hour or 2.5%. So this board's already done 3%. However, we didn't get up to $13 an hour on some of these employees. So you can see the board increase, we took a starting custodian to $12.37. Obviously, the state legislation would take them to $13 an hour. So if we took all of our custodians to $13 an hour, that creates some salary compression. It takes the steps away, which is what we wanted to, create, is having those steps. So this board went ahead and said, okay, we're going to keep those steps in place for our employees. So the range goes from $13 an hour for a new employee to $13.55 for somebody with 8 or more years of experience. So also, as a part of the budget that was approved in November 2021, it was a biennial budget. So it includes budgetary language for the upcoming fiscal year, or 2022-2023. And that language says the hourly employees will get the greater of $15 an hour or 2.5% increase. Salaried employees will get 2.5% increase. However, as of right now, we still do not have a formal budget for the upcoming year. This is an update from the North Carolina School Boards Association that came out Friday. They're currently in negotiations. They're looking like a couple weeks before they come up with something. So our salary projections for next year are really just projections until we get the final resolution from the General Assembly. So our objectives for reviewing our salary increases for the next year, obviously to meet the state mandated requirements. We also want to add experience steps for school nutrition and clerical positions. That will get experience steps in almost all of our major categories of employees. And then also some market rate adjustments for various hourly positions. So now, using the example, if we did go to $15 an hour, as the General Assembly has said in the biennial budget, keeping those steps for custodians, we're currently at a starting salary of 13 with a 8-year step to $13.55. That would all move up $2 an hour, or $15 starting, $15.55 at the top end. So what this does is this creates salary compression. When you've got people moving from $13 an hour to $15 an hour, that's a 15.4% increase. And as you'll recall, the legislation says the greater of $15 an hour or 2.5%. So when you have employees getting 2.5% and then other employees getting 15.4%, that's going to cause some salary compression. Also, all of these increases may not be fully funded by the state, which is a concern of ours. And also, it increases the cost to prepare school meals. A lot of our school nutrition personnel are under that $15 an hour minimum, so their salaries will be going up quite a bit. So you can see these are just proposals, again, pending the final approval by the state General Assembly on the budget. But you can see some of the higher paid positions will have smaller increases, whereas the ones that are going from $13 an hour to $15 an hour will have a larger increase. And we will have experienced steps in here for essentially all positions other than subs, tutors, and some other positions may only have a few people in those positions. So when we look at the cost of this, the cost is quite a bit, just over $5 million. A lot of this is state mandated. Going from $13 to $15 an hour, plus the cost of benefits is also going up. The cost of our health insurance benefits are going up $350. The cost of retirement is going up 2% a year for all employees. So state funds, we're currently projecting would cover about $1.7 million, or just over a third. Our ESSER would cover just under $1 million. Keep in mind the ESSER is short term. It's 2 more years of ESSER. School nutrition is going to be $1.1 million of that increase. Again, a lot of their employees are impacted moving from $13 to $15 an hour. And then the local funds, which I say we really, pay a lot of close attention to, is just under $500,000, $437,000. So that's where we would be with the salary increases based on last year's biennial budget, waiting to see what they'll do with this year's budget. So in the meantime, since the General Assembly has not yet formally passed a state budget for next year, state law says we have to approve an interim budget by July 1st of this year. So every year that I've been here, except for one, we've had to do this because they hardly ever will have a state budget before our fiscal year ends, which is June 30. So we are asking this board to approve an interim budget, which will be 80% of our existing budget, the 2021-2022 budget. And then when the state approves their formal budget, we will come back to you with a final budget. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless you have any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Mr. Howell?
So this is the interim, this is not the $15 raise yet?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
And this is an action item, so we will need to vote on it tonight. So, Mr. Dedman, Mr. Hall say, any other discussions? All in favor? That's unanimous. And Gary's going to be with us for a couple items here. Out of county tuition, this is an action item also.
All right, thank you, sir. Each year, this board sets what the out-of-county tuition rate is. So this would be a student that does not live in Gaston County but attends Gaston County schools. We have 11 of those currently. So we take the total local contribution to our budget, which is about $52 million. We divide that by the number of total students that we have, which at the time that we calculated this was about $29,700, and came up with the recommended tuition rate for next year, 2022-2023, of $1,759 per pupil. In addition, we have out-of-state students, tuition for out-of-state students. We currently do not have any. This number comes from the state, and it's $6,958 for any out-of-state student, maybe somebody that lived in South Carolina and wanted to attend school in Gaston County. So this is an action item, and would like to answer any questions and ask for approval.
Mr. Davis?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve the out-of-county tuition as presented by Ms. Foster.
Second by Mr. Cherry. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Next on the item agenda is school meal pricing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I would like to introduce Angela Calamia, who is the Director of School Nutrition, to talk about our school meal pricing.
Thank you, Mr. Hoskins. Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Vice Chairman Cherry, members of the board, Dr. Booker. Here tonight to talk to you about the meal prices, and this is an action item, so I'm hoping to get your approval to increase meal prices for the upcoming school year. Okay, this slide is the only slide we have, but it does show that the last time we increased meal prices was in 16-17, and that was not for lunch, for breakfast. Breakfast has been $1.20 for several years, but we increased the lunch for K-5 to $2.60 and for 6 to 12 to $2.70 at that time. And what I'm proposing is that we increase breakfast prices as well to $1.40, which is a 20-cent increase, and increase lunch for both elementary and secondary school by 20 cents as well. And the reason for this, and of course this is only for paid students who are not eligible for free or reduced breakfast and lunch. Both free and reduced students would still receive free breakfast, and reduced students would pay 40 cents as they have for many years, if that's their status. This is only for students who pay for lunch and do not qualify for free meals. And the reason is, of course, what Mr. Hoskins just presented to you. The increase in the salaries is one, and the second reason is the increase in all the food and supply that we use to prepare and serve the meals. Even since I stood before you last month and asked you to approve the budget, which was, the bids that were $1 million more, if you recall, on our food from the distributors, I've received about 6 or 7 what we call force majeure, which was an increase on top of the bid of 25% on chicken products and all that. So this is just a drop in the bucket, but I'm hoping that it'll help to offset some of the increased costs. So this is an action item for you.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve this pricing increase.
Okay, Mr. Hall, second. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is our annual surplus sale report. And this is the information item.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each year, we bring to you the annual surplus sales report. Our facilities department is the one that manages this. They go through govdeals.com. This past school year, we sold 28 assets totaling about $43,000. This included, I think, 12 vehicles, 5 pieces of mowing equipment, 3 trailers, and other miscellaneous equipment. And so we're just presenting this to for your information. Would certainly be, happy to answer any questions you may have. But this is the process we've been using over the past several years. It just makes it easier to have an independent source to bid on these products and to pay for these products.
Any questions for Mr. Hoskins? Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
K-12 Summer Learning Plan. This is an information item, and Dr. Bachnight.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Vice Chair Cherry, board members, and Superintendent Booker. I'm so excited to be before you tonight. It's been a great school year, but it's already an even better summer camp. We were so excited, the first thing, that we had teachers sign up eagerly to support our students in the summer. And we know that teachers have had a long year, but they have eagerly signed up to attend professional development, to support our students with summer camps. And so summer camp is going well, and I just want to talk briefly with you about all the great things happening in Gaston County Schools this summer. I think our last day of school, we had a week before summer camp started, so that was a short summer for some of our teachers. So our elementary school programs, we actually had lots of interest from our students and parents about our Lego STEAM camp. This is for 1st through 5th graders. We had a plan to support 200 students, and that list began to grow, so we expanded, and we now have 400 students that are attending the camp. It is 3 weeks. It's very hands-on, as you can see. That's an example of some of the activities the kids will get to do. And the great thing about these camps is that we're training our teachers to be able to use these resources throughout the school year as well. And then our Camp Little Scholars is a 3-week reading camp as well. And it provides professional development for our teachers, and we have about 2,300 that signed up, and we have actually about 1,500 that are attending. So we did have some space remaining in our camp. But the most important thing about all of these camps is that our teachers are able to come and refresh their skills in the summer to be even more prepared for the next school year. Our elementary virtual summer extension, so for those families that needed to step away from a face-to-face brick and mortar in the summer, or we're traveling all summer, we do offer an elementary virtual summer extension camp. This is something that we started in the middle of the pandemic and got lots of positive feedback about, so we continue to do this for our families, and it continues to be utilized with many of our students. Our elementary school AIG in-person learning experience, this is provided for 2 weeks for students in June. Those students have been, of course, identified as academically gifted. They are invited to the camp. It's for 1st through 5th graders. They get to do a lot of hands-on project-based learning, so they can extend that the things that they learned during the school year and really stretch their growth with the standards. And we also include our Pleasant Ridge and some composer students, as we've talked about in our instruction committee meeting as well. So our total enrollment for that is 187 students. This is one that we're very excited about, and we hope that this will continue to grow. We started this last summer. Kindergartners, here we go, camp for pre-kinders. We really want to start the conversations and work with kids before even school starts. So we have a 2-week camp in June, and it's at 6 site locations. And it helps to, our currently enrolled pre-kindergartners, we help transition them and get them ready for kindergarten. And so we're just so excited that we've already made that connection with them, and this is a positive outcome of us having all these summer activities that we can bring our pre-kinders in for a 2-week ramp up to kindergarten. So we're very excited about that. In middle school, as I think Ms. Lovelace talked about in our instruction committee minutes, we have something that I believe is very powerful that we continue to do. We do our Accelerate Gaston. We, this year, were able to get a grant and make a connection between core content and CTE curriculum. So again, that hands-on learning, connecting the CTE activities that connect to the core standards. And so our core teachers are working with our CTE or career and technical education teachers to provide hands-on activities for our middle school students. We have 6 sites, and we have 830 students that have enrolled, which is great if you know middle school students, to have 830 middle school students committed to camp. Math Magic in the Middle. So this was a camp that we started several years ago that we decided to bring back to do a refresher for our students and our teachers. So in the first week, our teachers have spent a great week with the authors of our curriculum to better understand how to use that, and just a refresher. This upcoming school week at Yorkchester Middle School, we'll have students there participating in the camp, and those teachers will get to practice those activities with them, but it'll be magical for the students. Many of you came to that camp several years ago and had such a great time, and if you'll recall, every day more kids came because the word got out, hey, this is pretty cool to do math and it's fun. And so that's a great problem for us to have, so we're looking forward to that same to happen again this year with camp. High school camps, I will share with you, we have some in-person learning and some professional development for our teachers. It will be in all of our content areas in high school. But one of the bigger pieces of this that we're most excited about, in the past, we offered credit recovery in the summer for just high school seniors. Because of the pandemic, we've expanded that to all high school students, and this has really been a good success that we hope to continue. So many students are able to recover credits in the summer, and as you can see, it was well attended last year and will be and is well attended this year, and it really helps students because a student that can go back to school the next fall on track feels more confident and is more likely to remain in school than a child that goes into the next school year behind because they didn't pass their credit in the previous school year. So we're very excited about that. This is available to kids that need to recover credit from the 2020-21 school year or the 21-22 school year. So we have a wide range that they can work to recover credits. We also have, as we have had for a number of years, we continue to have our ACT, SAT prep camps. That is always well received. We also have a virtual option for our families, again, that students are not able to come to our camp. They can do this independently on their own to prepare for their ACT, SAT. This is so important for our kids. Our Exceptional Children's Program, we have some great camps. Many of you go visit those in the summer. We have an EC, Exceptional Children's Deaf and Hard of Hearing camp, and it's a 2-week camp that serves grades K through 5. That we're very excited about. It focuses on language enrichment and development. And then our Legibility Llamas. It's a 2-week camp. It serves grades through 5, K through 5, and it's a handwriting. They use the Handwriting Without Tears curriculum, and they are able to do crafts and projects, and it's interactive. They have lots of support on campus for those students. It also helps the folks that work with them during the school year, again, review those best practices for our students during the school year as well. And then we have a 2-week camp that works with our adaptive curriculum standards. So our kids are able to do some fun activities with aquaponics. You've heard Mr. Mills at Webb Street talk about that quite a bit. They're able to do some music therapy, some PE, and pool fun. And on those hot days that we've already had this summer, many of us would like to join them for that pool fun. I can assure you of that. And then the Links Get Fit Camp, that's one I also need to sign up for as well. But our kids are doing a great job with that, ages 18 to 22. Many of you are aware that we partner with Gaston College and we have a Links program. So this is an extension for those students that are eligible to continue in school until they're 22. So they get to work on some activities that help them be prepared to go to work and become more independent as they transition completely out of the public school system. That's been very well received in our community, and it's a great partnership with Gaston College. And then our visually impaired camp, it serves grades K through 6. Students are immersed in activities to access their community and environment, and they get to practice and become more comfortable in the summer before they return back to their school, and also learn other strategies and techniques so they can be successful in a regular classroom environment. So again, that was a brief description of some great things that are happening in Gaston County. I said to the principals a couple weeks ago, we're out of school for a week and then we're back at it. And we are. We're working very hard. Our camps are Monday through Thursday. We're very excited. We have over 3,000 students in our camps. We're very proud of that. And we did not have any issues staffing our camps this summer with teachers. So I just want to thank the teachers for their work and their continued support of our students in Gaston County. And this is an information item.
Thank you, Dr. Bachner. Anybody have any comments? Ms. Guthrie?
Yes, I do. I want to first thank you, Dr. Bachner, and your staff, because you have worked very hard to make certain that no child is left without having some type of educational enrichment during the summer. And I think that's so critical, especially now. And as you were presenting your information, what hit me most, I stopped at the traffic light right there at the Teacher Resource Center, and I saw the signage that said enrolling kindergartners. And I thought about that just today. I read that sign. And for you to say that you have a camp for pre-kinders, that's about 2.5 weeks of young people entering school prepared.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it takes that long for the teachers to get them to stop crying or the parents wanting to follow the parents home. It takes that long, so you're being proactive with that, and I think that's just wonderful. Those little skills will already be in place, hopefully, as far as preparing themselves for school. So that's phenomenal. I know about the other things. I know what you said, and it's all good, but just to know that the babies will have that opportunity and parents are taking advantage of that, it does nothing but help us to be ready to move on to the next level of skill development for these young people. So thank you so much. And where does the Aspire program fall into this?
Yes, ma'am. Our Aspire program, I was thinking about that when you were talking. We did not include them in the slide deck, but the Aspire program is actually happening at 3 campuses this summer. They will continue with those students that we have served throughout the school year. So they are also in session at Lingerfeld, Pleasant Ridge, and H.H. Beam this summer.
And I want to tell you
And Woodhill.
that those children are well-mannered. I've had the opportunity to see them. So you have done a great job, you and your staff, preparing or maintaining an environment for our children to learn. We know that we can't make up for learning loss,
Right.
but we certainly can provide the resources that will help to empower them for the next school year. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. Mr. Collier?
Following along with Ms. Guthrie's comments, I agree. I'm just impressed with what we're doing in the summer, and it looks fun. I hope that parents find out just how much fun summer camps and these programs can be. And it's exciting to see these opportunities, especially for young children coming into school in kindergarten, that they don't come in fearful. They come in that, hey, school is not what I thought it might be. It can be fun. And the other most impressive thing in this environment, that it's fully staffed. Not only are we touching so many different segments of our community and population and opportunities for so many different people, which is just unheard of, but they're fully staffed. It's just hard to do this day and time, so I commend you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Dr. Blacknight.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is our board policy update. And this is the information item. And Sonia McGraw.
Thank you, Chairman Ramsey, members of the board. At your May meeting, you received a list of board policy updates. For information, those appear tonight on your consent agenda for approval. In addition, we've given you a new list of policy updates, again, for information tonight, to give you an opportunity to review those before your next board meeting when we will ask for approval. This is all in an effort to keep the board policies up to date and consistent with North Carolina law and North Carolina School Board Association policies. So we have been busy at work presenting those for you for consideration, and again, those on the consent agenda for your approval tonight. You may be interested to know that those draft policies are available online on the board's website for consideration or review by the public as well, and to afford easy access to you as well to review those.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the policies as written.
So we'll do that on the consent agenda tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Ms.
I'm
Cherry.
sorry.
I appreciate your
If you
willingness
hold
to
that
jump out
motion-
there. So-
Hold that motion. Thank you,
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
McGraw.
Yes, sir.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are several items on that agenda. Would you like to make a motion, Ms. Cherry? And second, Mr. Hall. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. That brings us to time to our favorite superintendent, Dr. Booker.
Okay, thank you, sir. You all may recall that back in February, we received several state-level school public relations awards, primarily around our Gaston County Schools storybook. We published one in 2020, and it won numerous awards, and then we've just now published one in 2022. Well, we were notified that it has received the National Award of Merit from the National School Public Relations Association in the magazine category. this just recognizes a lot of the hard work that comes from our communications department, and we just appreciate what they've done, and for all the people who contributed to this storybook publication. So thought that was worth everyone hearing about. I want to continue to remind folks that we are in the midst of registration. While Dr. Balknight celebrated all that's going on in summer school, we still are welcoming new students to the district for next school year. In particular, our kindergarten and pre-kindergarten registration is going on. So parents can visit our website to begin the process, and we look forward to having them. Remembering that school starts earlier this year with an August 17th date, so we're really trying to stress. We've been running ads in the Gaston Gazette, putting things on various social media, so please, our elementary schools will be better prepared the more we know about the students that are coming. Finally, because we have a long closed session, I want to just remind everyone that we are on summer hours where we're open on Monday through Thursday with facilities closed on Friday, and the schools are staffed until 5:30 p.m. But on Monday through Thursday, Friday we're closed. So that schedule completed through Friday, July 29th. And then also Monday, July 24th is a holiday for the schools, so they'll all be closed on Monday, July 24th. And Mr. Chair, yeah, that one too. Yeah, I bet you would. So, but July 4th, Independence Day. So, but we do need a closed session for personnel and numerous legal items.
Okay. Well, thank you for all your time and attention, and we have work to do the best for our students, teachers, and community. We look forward to our next regular meeting, which is scheduled for August the 15th, 2022. Thank you for all your commitment to Gaston County School, and we appreciate all of you that, and we hope everyone was restful summer break. Sorry about that. I need a motion to go into closed session. Mr. Collier.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, paragraph A6 for personnel, and under the same statute, paragraph A3 for consultation with attorney and any other legal matters.
Second, Mr. Cherry. Any discussion? All in favor? We're in closed session. We're back in open session. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Booker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I would like to recommend the following principal contract renewals. These contracts are for 4 years. Stacy Bradley, Glenn Cook, Becky Duncan, Crystal Hauser, Chris Mills, Jamie Peoples, Matt Reichard, Ryan Smith, and Rebecca Wilson.
I make a motion that we accept that proposal for the extended contracts.
Chair, motion second by Mr. Demme. In discussion, all in favor? And that's unanimous.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I would like to recommend the following assistant principals for a 4-year contract. Brittany Beckham, Trevor Boone, Kelly Brown, Elizabeth Crosby, Sean Zerkis, Stephanie Denton, Amy Aford, Charlotte Friday, Constance Green, Doneen Johnson, Patrick Logan McGuire, Thomas Plesnick, and Catherine Withers.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept those names.
Second.
Second by Ms. Guthrie. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous.
Members of the board, I want to thank all of the staff that have participated in our assistant principal interviews. We are still in the process of recruiting assistant principals, but tonight I'm glad to bring the following names in this phase of hiring. It will be for each of them to have a 2-year new assistant principal contract. The following individuals: Reginald Mark, Kadeen Stone Maddox, Kelsey Overbeck Elms, Kimberly Park, Nala Sadler Sherrill, Michelle Pettiford, Chelsea Ford, Farrah Putnam, Conley Skeen, and Rebecca LaRue. These all are recommended for a 2-year beginning assistant principal contract.
Make a motion that we accept that recommendation. for 2-year
Motion
contract.
on the floor, second by Ms. Guthrie. All in favor? That's unanimous.
Those are the personnel items I have for tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Collier?
Mr. Chair. In closed session, we had discussions of our evaluation of our superintendent as a board, and there were a lot of very good things said about our superintendent, and I'd just like to make a statement of a few of the things that were said. And these are basically my comments, not the entire board, but everybody kind of was in line with our superintendent. Dr. Booker has made incredible academic improvements in his tenure at Gaston County Schools. The phenomenal expansion and success of our CTE program, the incredible expansion of school choice, unprecedented passing of $250 million bond referendum. He has strengthened relationships and partnerships with our business community and organizations and our faith-based organizations. He has strengthened our relationships with our county police, the sheriff's office, and the municipal police departments. And people don't understand what that means for safety in our schools. I could go on. The list is very long, including Mr. Booker being named North Carolina Southwest Region Superintendent of the Year. The last 2 years have brought about changes no one could see coming. From the challenges related to COVID-19 pandemic to the Great Resignation, where over 47 million Americans voluntarily quit their jobs, with education being one of the hardest hit industries. In this max exodus from the workforce, Dr. Booker has proven his leadership by navigating through these uncharted waters and continues to work through these challenges for the days and months to come. Dr. Booker is highly regarded amongst his peers and is recognized throughout our state and the region for his esteemed leadership. Gaston County Schools is both fortunate and distinguished to have Dr. Booker as our superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. In light of all of those comments and the comments of all the board members during the evaluation process, I move that we extend for 1 year the contract of our superintendent and the contracts of senior leadership, which would extend those contracts to June 30th of 2026.
All right, thank you. Second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion or more comments? That said, all in favor? And that's unanimous. Mr. Dedman. I think it is. Okay. Second, Mr. Hall, all in favor? We're finished.